Alright guys, in this video I'm gonna give you a quick step-by-step tutorial on how to make the most mid, boring, soulless, try-hard anime of all time. Ready? Let's go. Step 1. Set the bar extremely high. How? Easy, just have Shinichiro Watanabe, the man behind Cowboy, Bebop, Samurai Champloo and other less known but still credible anime, make this show. There's no way it could be bad if he wrote it. Right? Step 2. Hire some of the most talented people across every industry. I'm talking about Chad Stahelski, the action director behind John Wick, Studio Mappa, the guys who worked on Jujutsu Kaisen, Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, Chainsaw Man, and countless other amazing shows. Why stop there? Hire Kamasi Washington, Bonobo, and Floating Points to make the soundtrack. Literally get every amazing and talented artist to work on the show. I mean, we're making history out here. Step 3. Publish it onto Adult Swim so more Western audiences can see this show. I mean, we're making a hit, so why not broadcast it to wider audiences? Finally, Step 4. Combine everything previously mentioned to make the most boring, uninterested, shallow, cliché-ridden 13-episode show you could possibly think of. Congratulations, you've made Lazarus. And that might have been a harsh intro, but you have to understand. Ever since the first trailer for this show dropped, I have been crossing days off in my calendar waiting for its release. Everything about this show looked like it would be exactly the kind of thing I love. High action sequences set in a futuristic universe and backed by a jazzy soundtrack. But somehow, despite everything that has gone into making Lazarus come to life, the show itself feels so lifeless. And to be clear, I'm not saying it's the worst thing of all time. The individual pieces of this show, like the music or the action or the art style, these things work well. They're made to a good standard. But when blended together with a genuinely uninteresting narrative, it just doesn't work. So, what went wrong with Lazarus? First, let me tell you what Lazarus is even about. In the year 2052, the planet Earth knows no hunger, no war, and no poverty. It's pretty much a utopia by all standards, thanks to the all-cure drug called Hapna, created by the scientist Dr. Skinner. Except 3 years after Hapna hit the markets, Skinner says no more Mr. Nice Guy, and announces that anyone who has taken Hapna will die 3 years after it's been ingested. Skinner himself holds the vaccine against Hapna, but he's nowhere to be found. And so, about 30 days before the world turns to hell, a group of special agents is created to search for Skinner, and this group is called Lazarus. How's that? It actually sounds intriguing, a mystery-driven, action-packed story. This could be a gem. But then, I started watching this show, and saw that this group of so-called special agents began searching for the most important man in human history by going onto Wikipedia. I knew I was cooked. And so the story of Lazarus starts rolling. Axel and friends start going around the world and looking for leads on Skinner. Except with every coming episode, they don't seem to get any closer to finding him. Everybody's lives are on the line. Dude, the whole planet's future is on the line. And these guys are sipping on tea in Turkey, going clubbing, and doing all sorts of ridiculous side quests that don't bring them any closer to Skinner. At episode 6, I felt like literally nothing had happened in the story. We briefly dive into the past of each crew member and just kind of go through it in a boring way. They try to pose it as emotional or moving, but as a viewer, I frankly don't really care. Because you haven't given me a reason to care for any of these characters. Watanabe tries to westernize the plot. He wants to make it relevant to what's actually happening in the world right now, and raises themes of artificial intelligence, global warming, racism, and many others, but it's done in the most on-the-nose way ever. One of the crew members, Doug, this important aristocrat-looking guy, talks about how he faced racism growing up. And that's it. That's his whole backstory. It's not explored any deeper than that, and it's not made to be interesting or tie into the story in any way that's more prominent than him literally just mentioning it out loud. It feels so forced. And speaking of plot, the story of Lazarus is driven by coincidence rather than consequence. When they find a new lead on Skinner, it never feels satisfying because it's literally almost always accidental. It's like, oh, here we tried doing this thing and we failed, but in the process we somehow found this one little thing by accident, and this might help us find Skinner. The future of the world is at stake, and yet it feels like there are no stakes at all. No real antagonist, no character development from anyone, nothing. At episode 9, 5 episodes before the show concludes, we finally get to see a real villain. Except the motivations of this villain make no sense at all. If everyone will die if Skinner isn't found, why are government officials hiring an assassin to kill Axel? And they just had to hire the lamest guy ever, look at him. We get this unbearable scene of him just walking down a street for 5 minutes straight, like a nonchalant dreadhead. This episode screams wanna be artistic and cool and unique, but it just looks cringe. This footage is sped up, it's like 5 times sped up, it's still going. Why is it still going? And listen, I'm not here to tell you that you shouldn't watch this show. Chad does pull through with some pretty fun action sequences. The fighting is well choreographed and well animated, as expected. And almost every episode has at least one cool fighting sequence. But none of these fights feel exciting to watch. Even the fight in episode 11, at the time of recording this episode has just come out, and I mean it was quite fun, but the fight wasn't even that long, and it wasn't anything special. It just feels so weak compared to the things we've seen from Watanabe before. The episode went by and didn't clarify anything about the story. We haven't gotten any closer to a resolution with Skinner, and I just can't help but feel like this narrative won't be saved in the remaining 2 episodes. There's nothing this show can now do to redeem itself as great. It's just above average at best. But it's honestly less of an issue with quality and more of an issue with expectations. This show promised to be the great successor of Cowboy Bebop. It promised a fresh take on the genre, coming from a legendary director, animated by one of the best studios in the world. When I say don't westernize anime, I really just mean don't sacrifice the story of a show for broader appeal. Just because you can say the words SoundCloud or United Nations or McDonald's in the anime without having to censor it, doesn't mean that the show is now magically hip and cool. Lazarus pushes too far into trying to be appealing to Western audiences. It tries too hard to be cool and as a result achieves the complete opposite. The dialogue feels like you're watching a Marvel movie and that's not a good sign. And I have to say, the world building is genuinely great. The universe feels quite realistic for what 2052 could look like. The multiculturalism is woven in pretty seamlessly and doesn't feel too forced. Artistically it's fresh too. The backgrounds are vibrant and vastly unique. It really feels like this show could be something amazing if it was properly driven by the story. I'm sure that if I or anyone else came into this show with no expectations whatsoever, we'd have an easier time watching it. Because fact is, it's really not that bad. If you're looking for a casual watch that you won't necessarily get into, something to maybe put on every now and then in the background, for that kind of thing it works. The story is mild but the visuals are strong, the pacing is decent, and you might be surprised by a thing or two, as long as you don't pay much attention to the plot. Online, it seems like the views on Lazarus are quite divided. Some people, mostly blinded by all the names and labels behind this show, claim that it's the greatest thing of all time. Others push too far into the negative and say that Watanabe fell off. I think it's fair to say that Lazarus has under-delivered. Even though as of now there are still 2 more episodes left to finish the story, I can still confidently say that the sky-high expectations just weren't met. And it just goes to show that no matter how good a show looks and sounds, if it's not written well, it just won't hit. But what do you think of this show? Let me know down in the comments and I'll be sure to discuss it with you. Tune into the upcoming streams here on YouTube, and if you don't want to miss those, hit subscribe. Thanks for watching this video, and I'll catch you in the next one.